susunod na programa ay rated PG. Patnubay at gabay ng magulang ay kailangan sa mga batang manonood.
Good evening. You're watching the Chairman's Report, brought to you by IBC 13 and the Commission on Filipinos Overseas. That is the agency under the Office of the President, mandated to connect the Filipino diaspora with the Philippines. I am 𝐂𝐴𝐚, Chairman of the CFO and your program host. Tonight's discussion will center on the Lingkod sa Kapwa Pilipino, or Lingkapil. That is a long-running program of the CFO that enables overseas Filipinos to give back to their homeland through meaningful, high-impact development projects. Since 1990, Lingkapil has facilitated more than 3.4 billion pesos worth of assistance in the form of financial aid, material donations, and skills transfer from overseas Filipinos. The program has connected the Filipino diaspora with communities in need, channeling support into education, health, livelihood, and small infrastructure, strengthening the lives and the spirit of bayanihan across borders. This year, Lingkapil welcomes a new ally, Water.org, a global nonprofit organization dedicated to expanding access to safe water and sanitation, especially for communities living in poverty. Water.org brings innovative solutions that empower people to access these basic needs sustainably. To lead tonight's discussion, we are joined by Griselda Gloria Santos, the Regional Director for Southeast Asia at Water.org. She brings valuable insight into how this partnership with CFO can drive meaningful change for communities across the Philippines. In addition to her leadership at Water.org, Ms. Santos contributes her expertise as an independent board director at UNO Bank Philippines and as a trustee at FinTech Alliance PH. Thanks to the initiative of Ms. Santos, Water.org and CFO will work together to direct diaspora resources toward water and sanitation initiatives in underserved areas, ensuring that overseas support translates into long-term, life-changing impact for Filipino families on the ground. Ms. Santos, welcome to the Chairman's Report.
Thank you for this opportunity, Secretary Kling. I appreciate that you're putting the spotlight on Water.org.
Right, so maybe let's focus on the work that you do. Maybe give us a bit of a history, why Water.org came about. And I understand there's some star power behind it.
Yes, so this is an entity established or co-founded by two gentlemen. One is the Hollywood star Matt Damon, and of course Mr. Gary White, who's an engineer. So they joined forces some more than 20-30 years ago to really address the main crisis on water and sanitation.
So how did it come about? Did Matt and his partner see some need in this part of the world, or was it in Africa? And then
it started actually. Good you mentioned Africa.
Okay.
I mean, there's this book, Worth of Water,
Yes,
that talks about the journey of the two co-founders. So in the case of Matt Damon, I don't know if you're familiar with Bono.
yes,
You too, right?
Yes.
So Bono, as
I'm dating myself here when knowing
Me
Bono.
too.
But most people might know Matt Damon from Born Identity.
Yeah, as you know, Bono is very very proactive in
Yes.
so many human rights
Yes,
issues.
poverty alleviation issues.
Exactly,
Yes, yeah.
exactly. And I think one time he's been inviting, and maybe I'm simplifying the story, he's been nagging Matt about joining him in an immersion in Africa. And in that series of events in Africa, he came across a girl who was fetching water and had a conversation with that girl. And that gave him the aha moment. Oh my gosh, I mean, several hours are spent by women and children to fetch water. And it's indeed something that should be addressed globally. And in the case of Mr. Gary White, he's been in the development space, and he's been doing the same effort on water and sanitation, and that's where they actually joined forces. I mean, Mr. Gary White has an engineering background. He understands, I mean, the infrastructure and the problem relating to to the infrastructure of water and the financing side as well. So that's when they started to join forces.
So what exactly is water.org? Because I know that because we've been talking about this for a few years now. What exactly is the intervention, or how does it hope to help with water and sanitation?
So maybe step back on what attracted me to this organization. So as you know, I'm known as a financial inclusion advocate.
Right.
And I was attracted because of the market-driven solution that water.org has. What does it mean? It leverages, it's an opening for families earning $3 to $6 a day to have an entry point for financial inclusion through microfinance loans. I mean, water.org doesn't provide the funding, but it works with financial institutions, particularly microfinance institutions, to adopt or dedicate a loan product on water and sanitation. These households that earn $3 to $6 a day, I mean, not all financial institutions will give them the chance to have that first step, to have a relationship with a bank. But because we have the technical assistance, the market-driven solutions that we offer on the table, it gives more confidence for the financial institutions to partner with us. And I mean, we've been operating 11 countries across the globe, Africa, South Asia, Southeast Asia. To date, we have reached around 80 million people globally. We have mobilized $7 billion across, I mean, by disbursing 17 million loans, and these are microloans.
It's an interesting combination on basic needs and this financing, but to focus on your work here in the Philippines. So has Matt and Gary been to the Philippines, and they see, Philippines needs to be in the program of water.org. Why are we part of it? What's the work done here in the country?
So Philippines, I mean, it's challenged in so many ways.
Right.
I mean, globally, you have the quality, the access to water. The unique challenge in the Philippines, it's archipelagic.
Okay.
I mean, several islands. It's not one size fits all for the solution on water and sanitation. And it's a question, yes, the urban area, the cities are probably more advanced in terms of its infrastructure, but we go to a lot of rural areas. I mean, what's indicative of the problem is like waterborne diseases are highest in Calabarzon, Visayas, and even Bangsamoro, right? And then you have 20 major storms a year. So there's another angle of challenge that affects water and sanitation. I mean, every time you have a storm, the quality of water is affected,
right,
and the infrastructure is affected.
Right.
And then you have the different climate patterns of the dry and wet season.
Right.
You have El Nino. There's so much drought going on. It dries up the well, which is usually the source of water for rural areas, which is not sustainable. Then you have La Nina, the flooding, that affects the quality of water. So it's a whole range of issues challenging water and sanitation. In the Philippines alone, we have 150 million in population.
Okay.
60 million don't have access to safe water, and another 45 million don't have access to safe sanitation.
When you say they don't have access, does that mean we have people in some areas, like we see in Africa, fetching water from faraway sources, like a river maybe, or a well?
Yes.
That still happens?
That still happens. And I mean, particularly in rural areas, you have people relying on wells. And as I've told you, wells are not sustainable source. One, it's not a stable source in terms of quality. You have communities that are surrounded by volcanoes, active volcanoes.
Right.
If there's a volcanic activity, then another issue, arsenic level. So it's not, I mean, it hasn't been sustainable.
So talk about who exactly is your client in the Philippines. Is it households, or is it the local government that pulls together the households, or like the water district perhaps, pulls the households together and then they deal with you, or how exactly does it work?
So I think it's not more of clients, but rather partnerships.
Sure.
And that's the very
Sure.
rationale why we're partnering with
Right.
with CFO.
Yeah.
So our partners are the network of financial institutions, microfinance. If you look at banks, they don't have the traditional loans dedicated to water and sanitation. Usually there are consumer loans like
Okay.
car loans, etc.
Right.
But I mean, we try to enlighten them or establish their understanding of the need for a loan product established for water and dedicated to water and sanitation. Then we also work with the local government. The local government, I mean, with our experience, we've been working with them in terms of blended finance scheme.
Okay.
When you say blended finance scheme, they will probably convene the households that are earning $3 to $6 a day.
Okay.
That's not really in the base of the pyramid, but are capable of microfinance, but cannot be capable of servicing the whole amount that will entail them to build their toilets or to have access to water.
So would it be correct to say that your work is in a way like capacity building, that you know,
Yes.
with microfinance institutions, so that they can serve the unserved communities or households? Would that be
Yes,
an
yes.
accurate way to do it?
It's technical assistance to teach them how to adapt a loan product dedicated to water sanitation. It's helping them convene the community to do the development of a market demand for such loan product. So it's technical assistance.
So clearly, it's not a dole out. So
It's not a dole
and
out.
that's where the sustainability comes in.
Yes, definitely, because we don't believe in dole out. That's why we believe in market-driven solutions.
Okay, very interesting. We'll have to take a quick break, Gay. We'll be right back with the chairman's report. We'll be right back.
Gisingin na at salubungin ang umagang puno ng kaalamang pangkalusugan. Hindi na kayo mag-worry dahil ang inyong concerns ay sagot na ng ating mga bisitang doktor at espesyalista. Matuto kasama nina Doc Cel Martinez at Jerome Sang sa Doc Truba tuwing Sabado alas 8 ng umaga dito sa IBC 13. Kulang ang araw mo kung wala ang kids na hindi lang cute at charming, kundi super talented din.
It's a time for the people of Iloilo to show their love for their faith and celebrate a rich culture. Young shows the world how rich and diverse Filipino culture is.
Panoorin sila sa Talents Academy every Saturday at 4:30 p.m. sa IBC 13.
Welcome back to the Chairman's Report. I am 𝐸 and we're talking to 𝐂𝐴 Santos of water.org. Can we talk about the necessity or the importance of water? Obviously, there are many things that we need to pay attention to. Poverty, shelter, food. But water seems to be more important than all of that. Maybe I should have you explain why that is the case.
I'm glad you mentioned poverty, shelter, food.
Yeah.
Because water is, you solve the
Cuts
water
across,
issue, you're actually cutting across solving a lot of the, I will call it, sustainable development goals.
Okay.
You solve the water issue, you solve the poverty issue, you solve the climate side, livable cities, gender equity. So if you're able, a more concrete example is in a poor household, lower income household, 200 million hours are spent by women and children just fetching water.
Is that worldwide?
Globally.
Okay.
So imagine giving that opportunity through a market-driven solution as Water.org provides, wherein there's the first step towards a relationship with a financial institution. Then it solves their problem on fetching water. And just imagine, where would that hour shift?
Okay.
It will shift the hours to a more productive contribution to the household. Either, I mean, given that the woman mostly does the fetching, you can imagine the woman probably engaging in entrepreneurial undertakings, like putting up a sari-sari store, which will add up to the income generated by the family. Or as simple as shifting that time to help a child in his or her homework, then that will have a chain reaction of contributing to the literacy overall of the country. So it seems like a very simple thing, but solving the water crisis is the intersection of solving so many problems faced at the household level and at the national level.
Do you sense that maybe, people don't think about it as much in the Philippines? Because when we talk about water, it's either we have too much of it in flooding, or when we don't have enough of it. And then we suffer all of these inconveniences. But do you sense that that there needs to be more thought or more attention given to it by policymakers here in the Philippines, or we take water for granted because we're in a tropical country and we have the rainy season? But as I said, it doesn't really come to mind unless we either deal with the flood or we deal with not having water from our taps.
Exactly, that's true. I think credit to the government. We have under the NEDA, we had a roadmap for water and sanitation, which identified all the critical challenges surrounding the water and sanitation issue. So there is the awareness. And then there's I know to address the governance, there's a bill. I don't know how far has it gone, but there's a bill to establish the water board. So that's the undertaking of the government. I think it's more of like the average Filipino can tend to take for granted water. I think there's a big population in the city. You turn on your faucet, you have water, it's easy to, but you go to the rural areas, what you have, you will find water tanks, actually one water tank servicing a whole community, and it's even dilapidated. You'll have households relying on wells, and you talked about too much rain, not too much rain, and it's not sustainable because it dries up. And I've seen this not just in the Philippines, I've seen this in Indonesia, I've seen this in Cambodia. I think it's more of really the awareness of the average Filipino that water is not an endless resource.
So did Matt Damon and Gary White come here and see that the Philippine situation needs attention, or this was just a logical base from which you cover Southeast Asia as a region? Was there a need, or did it works out better working out of Manila?
Definitely, they've been here.
Okay.
And of course, even before they explore an area, it has to have the need.
Okay.
So definitely, there's a need here in the Philippines.
So do you think maybe we can invite them one of these days too?
I cannot commit to that,
right.
but I all I can say is they're really. Really, this is in the heart of the.
Yeah. But seriously speaking, how do we you cover the region? How do we compare to our neighbors? Are we about the same? Are we better off? Or are there unique circumstances in every country? And so maybe you focus on a particular area of your work here, and maybe a different part in Indonesia or elsewhere.
Yeah. So there are common challenges. A lot of common challenges across the three countries. So we have our offices in Cambodia, Indonesia, and Philippines. Take Indonesia and Philippines. It's comprised of several islands.
Okay.
The issue is, at the end of the day, it's a business. Water utilities will serve the areas that are more densely populated. that being said, I mean, it's Java-centric, it's Metro Manila and the surrounding areas. And then the challenge comes from how do you serve the other islands? Is it worth for a utility to establish themselves to reach out to those islands when the population is low, right? So it's the same.
So the number of customers is going to be too few.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Indonesia and Philippines, they're also challenged by climate patterns as well as volcanic eruptions, volcanic activity. Surprisingly, in Cambodia, I learned that even there's no visible volcano, arsenic level is also a problem for them. So in between Philippines and Indonesia, I mean particularly Philippines, we're challenged by climate patterns, right? It's either too much rain or no rain at all.
Right.
So it's the same situation, at least for drought in Cambodia is also a challenge. Flooding is a challenge. So there are common areas of challenges across these three countries. The beauty with the Philippines is that I would say the enabling environment for private sector and public sector is there to partner together.
All right. There's something to work with.
There's something to work with, right? I mean, it's like, I mean, we reach out to CFO, I mean, with Lingkapil, I mean, people are willing to partner to solve this issue, right?
Right. And so, has there been a country study to say, like, maybe how many man-hours lost? What is the opportunity cost of fetching water in the Philippines versus other countries? Is that something that Water.org has looked into, or maybe some other institution? Has that been determined?
I'm sure, I mean, the 200 million hour benchmark that has been done, I mean, that's a United Nations statistics. What we have been looking into, at least for Southeast Asia, is to map out the regions that have the challenges, the most challenges in water and sanitation, to see where we can maximize our resources. Because humbly speaking, I mean, we're such a lean organization. We cannot serve everyone, but at least maximize our presence and through the presence of our partners. So we're going through the mapping exercise, looking at the various provinces and regions, who's in dire need, where's the biggest population, where do we have our partners, and that's a starting point for us. There's the opportunity where we can mobilize more capital to solve the water and sanitation crisis.
So is there a pilot? I'm not sure if that's the right term, but have you started working in any region in the country that you, as you said, identified as, is in greater need of intervention and where you can make a greater impact?
Yeah, we've been actually working in the Philippines since 2014.
Okay.
So I mean, we have presence across, or partnerships across the Philippines. So everything is, I think we can say that we've covered, we have a partner in each of the provinces and region. It's a question of how do we bring it to cover the whole community at the barangay level and everything else.
But as you said, you're a lean organization, so you have to be strategic in selecting where you focus on.
Yes.
Is it in Luzon or Visayas, in Mindanao, or maybe pockets in these agrupations?
So certain parts like in Luzon, I mean Calbarzon, Batangas, Laguna. In Visayas, we have, I don't know, Palawan. Palawan. Although you have the nice tourist areas, if you look at the communities around, and they're in dire need of water. We're working with Bicol as well. So, and then we have initiated partnership. It's on its finalization of MOU with Baguio City. So, as you know, all these places are really challenged with water and sanitation.
But it's interesting that you're in areas that are highly urbanized, and then you mentioned Palawan, that is maybe less dense.
And then you have Batangas, the Calbarzon area.
Yeah, where you're from, obviously, right? So maybe any success stories so far that you want to share with us?
So we have partnered with communities in Calbarzon, wherein we have requested the local government to at least allot a little amount in their budget. That can be blended probably to finance like the septic tank of a household, which is the most expensive part, to be able to put up a sanitation and toilet for the family. So I think that is something that we got commitment from local government, and that will result to some sort of subsidized loan, wherein the household will be loaning the amount to complete the whole toilet structure. So I think that helps a lot for households earning $3 to $6 a day, that they cannot complete the whole structure, and that in itself can be replicated across the Philippines.
So are you guys able to get testimonials now that, maybe this particular woman spent 6 hours, 8 hours fetching water, but is now doing something more productive because...
we have a lot of testimonials, and I think you can check out in our website. There are a lot of testimonials to that effect, wherein the mother was able to shift her hours to more productive activities that can contribute to the total family income.
So we look forward to reading those stories, but we'll have to take a quick break. Please stay tuned to the Chairman's Report. I'm 𝐸𝐴𝐚𝐻. We'll be right back.
Gusto nyo ba ng mas exciting na content? It's time to manually scan your Digibox or Smart TV. Tune in sa aming dynamic trio lineup, all in one channel band. Stay tuned to Congress TV at channel 13.2 for the latest updates and happenings straight from the legislative halls. Enjoy your favorite shows na hindi lang siksik sa information, kundi punong-puno rin sa entertainment sa IBC 13 at channel 13.1. At para sa pinakabagong balita, talk shows at music, stay tuned to the 1206 AM sa channel 13.3, broadcasting your favorite radio shows on your TV. All this and more in just one channel band. Don't miss out. Manually scan your Digibox or Smart TV now to enjoy Congress TV at 13.2, IBC 13 at 13.1, at the 1206 AM at 13.3. Experience more. Enjoy more. Only on your TV.
Travel goals? Hindi papahuli dyan si Diego.
Look at that. We're gonna be hanging loose. Kaya swak ito para sa quick nature trip.
Samahan siya sa kanyang adventurous trip habang tinutuklas ang bawat sulok ng Pilipinas at ang natatanging culture, cuisine, and everything in between. Sa Kultura, tuwing Sabado alas 11 ng umaga dito sa IBC 13.
Welcome back to the Chairman's Report. I'm 𝐸𝐴𝐚𝐻. We're talking to Ms. Kay Santos of water.org. Let's circle back a little bit because I want to ask about how people or institutions can help. When we partnered, that was through the Lingkapil program, but it's a bit nuanced the way we did it, because typically the Lingkapil partners give donations or have some philanthropic activity. But as you were explaining earlier, this is more of a capacity building initiative. But maybe it's better that you explain how CFO and maybe the overseas Filipinos can help.
So this is how I envision it, Secretary Ang. As I've mentioned, as you know, I am a daughter of an OFW, and I was an OFW myself. I mean, the mindset of OFW is that their heart is not just for the immediate family that's with them overseas, but it extends to the extended family back home. resources are very challenged right now to be able to address any issue, global issue. And that being said, there's strength in numbers. With CFO's Lingkapil, literally the linking in itself, linking the OFW to the extended family, and ensuring that the extended family will have that sustainable, safe access to water and sanitation through microloans, is already a big bang for the buck. That being said, within your network too, we hope to link not just with the extended family, but to the financial institutions that you have linked recently. I know you're linking with OF Bank. You've linked with RCBC, Land Bank. Ironically, we signed our agreement the same day that we signed our agreement with you. So I mean, it's really spreading the word in terms of this is a market-driven solution. It's not a dole-out. There is, I mean, you're helping it to be a financial inclusion entry point for your families back home, and at the same time, you're solving the water and sanitation crisis for them.
Well, that's easy enough. I mean, promotions and introducing you to our other partners. But I noticed from your water.org website there is a link there where people can donate something like $5 or something. Because the point I'm trying to make is at the end of the day, you need to have resources to operate and to do the things that you need to do, right?
Yes. We leverage on philanthropic funds to be able to implement that market-driven solution. So within our website, I mean, there's you can donate. I'm proud to say that, I mean, for every dollar you donate, I mean, there's a multiplier effect. I think it's, I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, it's 20 times. I mean, because if you can imagine, you invest in water and sanitation in a household, you're not just helping one person there. I mean, the average 4 members of the family, right? So everybody is like being given a way to shift their time to more productive time contribution to the household as well.
So we introduce you to the overseas community. What is the action point? I mean, do you want them to go to the website and donate the $5, or do you want the overseas Filipinos to tell their relatives here, oh, there is this program, maybe you should be pressuring your local government, or what exactly?
I think it's more of like assessing who among these overseas Filipino workers have a family back home that's in dire need, that has doesn't have a sustainable access to water and sanitation. And I'm sure there will be a lot of them. I mean, I would think the overseas Filipino workers, I mean, they have a tie across the archipelago, right?
So, well, as I said, introducing you to the overseas Filipinos, I think is not the hard part, but mobilizing resources, I think is a bit of a challenge. But given the situation today around the world, a lot of people are, of course, nervous. There's the continuing Ukraine war. There are things going on in the United States. What is your outlook? I mean, are you optimistic, or what are some of the headwinds that you're paying attention to that maybe can impact or needs to be addressed so that that you can continue your work here in the Philippines and elsewhere in the region?
Well, I'm banking on the fact that, I mean, water is the intersection of solving a lot of the problems or challenges we have globally, and I would hope, I mean, that we will have that, I mean, sustainable SDG purpose-driven capital mindset among particularly the financial institutions. Central bank has been like mandating financial institutions to have a focus on sustainable finance, green finance. This building a loan portfolio of water and sanitation fits that framework. So I mean, it's not a hard sell, I hope. Right?
But you said there's something to work with in the Philippines that's maybe not present in other countries, you know. to move things forward, to grow your work here, is there anything else that you need from government? Are there new laws, for instance, that maybe facilitate the establishment of more microfinance institutions that you can work with and serve these communities and households that lack access to water and sanitation? What needs, besides the CFO drum beating and introducing you to communities, what else can be done? You mentioned the central bank, the BSP. Are there new policies that needs to be done in that area, or maybe in legislation or in other parts of the government?
For BSP, it's good that they're having the sustainable finance framework.
Okay.
And we've had conversations with BSP about it, how water.org's model fits into that. If you look at the NEDA Water and Sanitation Roadmap, which highlights the several challenges affecting water and sanitation. One of the challenges is governance, and the government is already addressing that through establishing one, because we have 30 entities supervising water. So just imagine, will we have one vision or direction?
Well, the president created this group, right, to centralize all of these water departments and agencies under a focal point.
I think that's the bill that's still in progress, right, in Senate.
So you want that institutionalized rather than being mandated by the Marcos government, say, okay, this guy works on it, this is the point person.
So personally, I think, generally speaking, it helps to have one supervisory body, right, that can really guide and supervise, particularly the smaller water utilities, and
Well, I guess the bigger idea there is to create a Department of Water. But is that the right direction to bring all of these agencies, the local water utilities, Laguna Lake Development Authority, and all of these other things that deal with water?
I'm gonna
Is that the right direction? Yeah.
Personally, I think it will help.
Okay.
I mean, to have one body overseeing everything. I mean, I think in terms of strategy, at the same time, the supervision. Hopefully, there will be the right KPIs within that organization. Because, I mean, again, this is a personal thing.
Sure.
I mean, as a developmental professional, I mean, something that is not measured cannot be achieved. So having the right metrics, KPIs being implemented by one agency, overseeing with the right governance and transparency would help.
So, as I said earlier, there are a lot of things going on around the world that maybe cause policymakers and business leaders some anxiety. But fortunately for the Philippines, we have this overseas Filipino community, including the OFWs, that remit an equivalent about 10% of GDP every year to the Philippines. The problem, as I understand it, is that sometimes all of these initiatives to send money back home really don't make it to places or institutions that actually need it. Of course, Filipinos would help when there's a storm or some natural calamity, but in terms of addressing sustainable development goals, development work, maybe there needs to be an effort to channel all of that altruistic drive towards maybe, as you said, some focal point. And what can be done to do that? That's, I guess, my...
I think we're already off to the right direction.
Okay.
By partnering together and leveraging on each other's network. I mean, because it seems so simple, Secretary Ang, but with the constrained resources, I mean, not nationally, just globally, I mean, you will really find this. I mean, there's a multiplier effect if you have so many partners towards one vision, right? And then this one, I mean, again, it's ensuring that the most basic need of their extended family is addressed. Again, it seems so simple, but it's in the execution and the willingness to move forward, and the commitment as partners. I mean, CFO offers that. You have the financial institutions in your network. You have the local government in your network. You have the Filipinos, have the families and households that
Right.
can be the beneficiaries or borrowers to tap into the water and sanitation loans.
And so maybe to drive on the point, and I have to take another break. The Marcos government has set this ambitious target to drive down the incidence of poverty to single digits, which would be something incredible. And as you said, water needs to be part of that discussion.
Definitely,
Because,
definitely. I mean, okay, just to look at the market-driven solution that I have been reiterating in this conversation, it becomes an entry point for financial inclusion, a relationship with the bank. And it's so powerful that you're addressing a basic need and helping this household establish its first banking relationship. That if you look at historically with our financial institution partners, the NPLs on this kind of microloan is very low. Because, personally, probably I would think, this is my personal take, because these families know how hard it is to go back
they value it.
to not have water. The 200 million hours, right, they spent. And that being said, it's not just like, I guess, it's a financial inclusion entry. You are able to establish a relationship. You show a good borrowing behavior, just paying for that water and sanitation facility in your home. And it opens up another level of relationship with the bank. Maybe education loan for this low-income household to see his or her child through college, or even, for a small business. So it's a simple step towards a bigger opportunity for lower-income households.
Okay, very interesting. Please stay tuned to the Chairman's Report. We're talking to 𝐂𝐸 Santos of order.org. I'm 𝐷𝐞𝐸𝐿. We'll be right back.
Kasama si Greg Gregorio. Sama-sama nating alamin at tuklasin ang mga tungkuling ginagampanan ng bawat miyembro ng gabinete at ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. para sa pagbabago at kaunlaran ng ating bansa. Sa Cabinet at Work, tuwing Lunes, 1:30 ng hapon, dito sa IBC 13.
Kumusta mga sayanista? Let's go, mga sayanista! Halina't sumama kina Kuya Ro at Agham sa kanilang nakaka-excite na adventures habang natututo ng kamangha-manghang lessons about science and technology.
Oh, mga sayanista, makinig na mabuti.
Sabay-sabay tayong mag-explore, mag-eksperimento at mag-enjoy sa Sayanista tuwing Linggo, 4:00 ng hapon.
Don't be late ha! Dito lang sa IBC 13!
Welcome back to the Chairman's Report. I'm 𝐷𝐞𝐸𝐿. We're talking to Ms. 𝐂𝐸 Santos of order.org. 𝐂𝐸, when we met, you had just come back from the International Financing Corporation. You were with FINEX, the Financial Executives Association in the Philippines. Now, you're saying a while ago, your heart is really for the OFWs because you were from an OFW family yourself. So how did you make that transition, or was it something more natural because of that background, or was there something else that maybe some other opportunity? I don't know. Did you meet Matt Damon and say they needed you in Manila? How did it work?
I know. But anyway, so I think it's more of I think I mentioned this earlier, it's more of the financial inclusion advocacy.
The
right?
financing aspect.
The financing aspect. Because initially, it's not an easy, it's not an easy thing to sell water, the business case for water. Because, I mean, you will only appreciate water, and I'm quoting someone, I think, you only appreciate water when the well is
Well, that was the point I was
dry.
trying a while ago.
Right? Well, the well
It's
is
important, except, you know,
you won't
when you don't
appreciate-
have it or when you have too much of it. right?
Yeah, exactly. So, again, I mean, I was attracted by the market-driven solution. I believe in the values of the organization. I don't believe in dole-out. It's not sustainable. And then the beauty of the financial inclusion angle of it, wherein you're given the opportunity, the lower-income families given the opportunity to have that first relationship with a financial institution, and by addressing the most basic need, which is water. So that really started my journey on this.
So, as you said, sometimes it's hard to sell water. Is that the case in the Philippines now? I mean, what is the challenge? Is your experience as, you know, or your concern for OFWs, is that the entry point to make people more aware or easier to talk to about the need for water? Or is it more of the overarching goal to reduce poverty and how water cuts across it, where you start, you know, introducing maybe more awareness about water, or maybe more appreciation for
I
the
think
sustainability part of
it's
water?
putting it all together.
Okay. How do you make your pitch? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
How do I make a pitch?
Yeah. If we're talking to an audience, right, and as you said, you know, sometimes it's hard to convince people to be excited about something that is so basic.
Yeah.
Right?
Again, I mean, I'm going to go back to solving the water issue. Maybe even at the household level, it's an entry point for solving a lot of issues that are challenging your lives. I guess I'm going to toss a question to you, or maybe we can take a poll, right?
Okay.
Would you rather wake up one morning without an internet or without water?
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
I would really feel
I would rather
sad
not have
if you
internet.
right. So the awareness, and probably people don't realize. I mean, water resources are not challenged just by the weather patterns. Again, this is my personal take. Weather patterns, not just like agriculture, which uses a lot of water.
I want to connect this to your personal experience, because you said you come from an OFW family. Do you see a connection between what you do now and then maybe also to what this government is trying to do, which is to maybe make going abroad or working abroad a choice rather than a necessity? Of course, that refers to, of course, poverty and economic opportunities here at home. Do you see some connection there, that maybe the more appreciative we are of water, then maybe leaving the country to find better opportunities, or becomes a choice rather than necessity, as the president said? Or am I stretching a bit here?
Maybe gonna spin it a little bit. If water access is an issue in the household, so many hours are spent by women and children in that household just to fetch water.
Right.
And that even aggravates the poor situation of a lower income family, or the lowest income family. If it's addressed, then it gives the opportunity for the mother to help the son or the daughter for homework, which gives them a chance to really be more literate, right? Because I believe that the role of women is really huge in a household. And that even allows them to pursue further studies, graduate elementary, high school. It's a whole chain reaction. So to your point of, is solving the water issue at home can help open opportunities, I would put it, open opportunities, it does, right? But at the same, I mean, not just on the educational literacy angle of the children, but also on the total household income. It helps the woman engage in entrepreneurial efforts, like put up a sari-sari store, a small business. And with more resources and more attention to education, that in itself opens the opportunity, and then you arrive at that point where it is a choice.
Right.
Right? It is a choice. Would you want to leave the country and pursue other things, or you want to stay on? But at least if you have the resources, you're able to address the most basic need, then you have a choice, right?
Do you think there's some social preparation that's also needed? Because I think a lot of Filipinos, especially, you know, in election seasons like we just had, are promised a number of things, free this, free that, right? But as we both know, the problem there becomes the sustainability, right? But do you think that there's also some social preparation or some education needed, or maybe a change of mindset that, hey, you know, I'm better off paying something rather than getting it free, because there's that sustainability aspect that we're talking about, right? Because maybe some politicians would feel better off if their constituents are not pounding on their doors and wanting free access to water, free electricity. I mean, but some, you know, pay for maybe some incremental cost to it so that, you know, it's sustainable.
There's accountability and sense of ownership.
Right.
Right? I mean, if you're for example, I think there've been cases wherein development organizations put this nice water tank in the community, and then it's a 5-year program, and then they left, and then only to come back, it's already worn down,
right?
Because nobody's taking ownership and accountability.
Right.
But if you have, like, I mean, that setup wherein you're paying something to be able to, you're just given the opportunity, but you're actually servicing a loan to be, you will take care of what you're trying to.
But the point I'm trying to make is it difficult to make Filipinos realize that you're better off paying a little bit of something, right, rather than getting it free? Because, as you said, you know, you don't find these wonderful projects worn down just a few years down the road. That there is some, you know, that in the long run it becomes more sustainable because you have some, I mean, to use the term, maybe some skin in the game here, because you pay a little extra. Or as you said, some ownership.
I think, I mean, there's already that that awareness.
They appreciate that.
There's appreciation, because we wouldn't have reached 11 million people in the Philippines if they're not.
Is that how many people?
We have reached 11 million in the Philippines.
Wow.
I mean, doing what we do.
Okay.
We have mobilized, I mean, in loan amount, around, I think, 450 some million.
Pesos?
Dollars.
Okay.
And 2 million loans, right?
Okay.
Loans disbursed.
Okay.
Over since we were in operation in the Philippines alone, 2014. So there is already that awareness and
11
appreciation.
million, it's not a small.
It's not a small amount. I mean, it's not, I mean, considering, it's not a small amount.
Okay. And so, what is the dream here? I mean, so 11 million are already benefiting from the work that you do. What's the dream here? To reach, as you said, maybe 60 million Filipinos or more, or what's the?
No, I think it's a global dream,
Okay.
like that every household would have that sustainable access to safe water and sanitation.
And that when they do, as you said, they have walk us through it. More opportunities.
More opportunities. At the same time, I mean, you're cutting across, solving so many issues being faced by the household and globally. You're addressing food security if you have water.
Right.
You're addressing having a livable space if you have water. Your rural development. At the same time, gender equity. Because as I've mentioned over and over, I mean, usually it's women and children, women particularly. So, so I think that's the whole beauty of addressing the water issue. It cuts across addressing so many issues.
Well, the beauty of IBC 13 is that it's actually growing and regaining its popularity nationwide through the initiative of the management here. So maybe hopefully the people watching this program will help your cause and help your program. But before we go, maybe you want to leave our audience with a message?
No. First of all, thank you, Secretary Ang, for putting the spotlight on water and sanitation. It's not an easy sell, but I hope that with our partnership, it will result to a multiplier effect in reaching more people to have safe water and sanitation. I'm gonna end my my statement with, I'm gonna borrow a quote from Gandhi. He says something like, the earth, the wind, land, air, and water, it's not an inheritance from our forefather. It's a loan from our children. So the least we can do is hand it over to them in the same manner that we have received it.
So maybe we should start doing something by visiting your website and
Yes, yes.
get more
please,
information.
Yes, yes. So please visit our website, water.org. I think you'll get more information on how we work with our partners, and hopefully we'll work together to address the water and sanitation crisis, not just in the Philippines, but globally.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy talking to you, and I look forward to our future work together. I'd like to thank our audience for watching this program. This has been your Chairman's Report. Thank you to all the viewers of Channel 13. Please keep on watching this network. I'll see you next week.